Hopefully you're having a great day today. So BigBear AI was just up to $7.20 this week and then fell back to $6 despite having good earnings. And here in Buenos Aires, we were hanging out with the team last night. We went to the steakhouse, which was pretty cool. We've been built in some new features here in Mercatus where you can instantly add a stock to your watch list via screenshot. So I'm really excited about that. Let's test it out. I'm going to jump in, grab, let's say, some random stocks here. We'll grab these 4 stocks, and I'm going to go ahead and let's add any assets. So let's get a new watch list going here. Let's do a let's do a test watch list. Why not? A test watch list. We're going to add an asset here. We got a screenshot we can drop in, and here we are. It's analyzing it, and in a second, boom, we got those ticker symbols automatically added. And what I'll do is I'll actually just go ahead and we'll call this the defense watch list. And you got BigBear AI, and this is the top company to watch right now. A defense company that has been really on a tear recently. We got some interesting things to go over, from the top transactors to what the big beautiful bill means, especially with the government reopening this past week. We can take a look at some of the buyers of the company, including BlackRock and Citadel and State Street. The market of defense has seen some momentum recently. We look at the overall market of defense, you're going back a year from now, and you're going to see pretty consistent uptrends. From around $1 a share around this time last year, BigBear has made its way up into $10 a share at one point. That was an aggressive sell-off with the greater market down in that April dip that we saw with the market. And then the general market, along with BigBear, continued up into $8.50. And then we saw some volatility. And right now we're sitting right here at the support here around $6 a share. It got pretty interesting towards the end of the week. We were looking for 750 as the target. In fact, if it made it to 750, we had some special kudos going out here. But what you could see here is in Stockmate, we actually had an offer for 750. It made it to 740. And so I'm really looking forward to BigBear's moves this week. If you guys ever want to watch our daily live trading sessions in Stockmate, it's going to be the second link below. If you want to grab access to this AI projections and the models, then you can get them in the first link below. If you're already in Stockmate, definitely just send me a message because there's a discount there for you. But honestly, the best deal no matter what is going to be the first link below, as you get Stockmate as a bonus, the daily live trading sessions each morning at market open. So let's take a look here at BigBear's recent moves. We had the government obviously reopen, so that was good. But then you still saw the market aggressively sell off towards the end of the week. And then when we're looking at the defense markets, especially companies like BigBear, they've had some recent news come out. We got their market caps around 2.6 billion. The quarterly income statements, if you look at them, they've been holding around 30 to 40 million a quarter. And they beat earnings in this last quarter. Their net income was actually positive 2.5 million, which is a big increase and much better improvement from previous quarters, seeing that net income positive. And then when you look at the annual outlook on the company, they're flat on revenue, just up about 2% year over year, very flat. But the balance sheet here is where they've seen improvements. We were excited about their 600 million in cash. Because for so long we were watching the company even back in December of last year where their liabilities were greater than their assets. We're saying, hey, they're still looking like a startup, or they're looking like they're in trouble. They got a new CEO. That was Kevin McAlane in here. And he's the commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and also was the acting secretary of U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Both those roles that he was in the past puts the positioning for a company like BigBear into a good fundamental play, because ultimately they have the very scan technology, which looks something like this, that they've deployed out to major airports, including Denver, Charlotte, Chicago, LAX, JFK, top airports. the Veriscan technology has been a good new addition to some of the airports for TSA and here for Delta, as they've been building out some partnerships with the Department of Defense and airlines individually. So that puts you into, okay, the market's like growing, and we were looking at them a little skeptical last year. Then we started to see their balance sheet improve, and they actually really paid attention to that. As you could see, their assets were at 600 million last quarter, with liabilities at 330 million. And then in September 2025, their total assets went up to 920 million, while their total liabilities were at 309. So they're almost $1 billion now in total assets. So they are up on assets by 159%. Cash and short-term investments are up nearly 800%. So from a financial perspective now, it's starting to look a lot more favorable for their current market cap, around just 2.6 billion. If they're anticipating to do around 150 million or more in a year or per year, and then they're right now total assets around 900 million with equity positive 610 million, that market cap of 2.6 billion still has room to run. Now, when we're looking at the overall trend, it's looked pretty good, right? We see the financials come in better, and you start to look at the trends here, but they still had some downward pressure. And every investor should not be like trading margin, should not go in heavy just when you see this pullback recently from $9 to $6. But when we're looking at the opportunity of the company, I personally have positions around $2.80, and I've sticked with the company even when they've gone up to 10 and when they've gone back down to 2. So I can tell you the conviction of most holders at this point is fairly good, and the financials are starting to look much more favorable. Now, there are three things to consider, right? The market, which is the real world usage, is what you want to verify, which we do see with their recent deployments. They even deployed into Nashville. That was one of them. Chicago O'Hare with their biometric systems. So they're building the infrastructure for that 2026 or 27, it's 2026 World Cup and the 2027 Olympics. And in the preparation for all the people coming in and out of the US, they have this biometrics technology that can essentially scan the face of people that come in and out. Now that's going to be a lot of data, means a lot of responsibility they have to handle with integrity, but also means they're going to get a lot of contracts most likely if they're processing that much data for people coming in and out of the US. And then in that mode, they also decided to acquire a company. And the company they just acquired is called Ask Sage. They're an AI company. Now, this is a strategic acquisition. In fact, so strategic, I'd say, that they're even paying a premium for this acquisition. It's a company that's on track, at least, to deliver annual recurring revenue of around $25 million. Nothing insane, but they paid $250 million for. Okay, so why would they pay so much for this company, Ask Sage? Well, I think you got to look at where they're moving. With the biometrics and the Veriscan technology, you look at their potential to secure contracts with the TSA and U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and you can see that the main object of a lot of the focus from the TSA is literally like AI-driven threat detection, biometrics, and things like that, which are exactly what BigBear does. Now the problem is we don't know that they're going to have their hand in this $2.5 billion potential contract with TSA, but if they do get any piece of it, they're going to be in a good spot. Now, the second piece to consider around the market, which we see the real world usage, is the actual capital. Their revenue is still lagging. So I think they're going to be okay revenue wise, like as their revenue's basically flat. Couple of reasons. Main reason is if you look at the Veriscan, they are not making money really by deploying all these Veriscan technologies. They made 33 million last quarter, which for the company of their size is not very much. So obviously the contract value of the Veriscan tech is not that large. And so then you got to look, okay, in the market, the timing looks good, the AI positioning looks good. Does the revenue add up? Not so much. It kind of is not really looking good on the revenue, and we want to see them increase. Do the rest of the financials line up? I think so, because when you see them deploy at this huge list of airports like LA, Montreal, Port of Seattle, Denver, Dallas, there's an infrastructure they're building that will pay dividends later. And I think what makes up for them, not having very good revenue is that at least they had a positive net income, and at least they had a balance sheet that came in nearly $1 billion in assets this last quarter, which is an all-time high for them. So with those things together, then you get into, okay, news looks fairly good, financials look fairly good. What about this chart? What's going on with this chart? You're seeing this pullback from 740 earlier this week back down to $6 a share. Now there's a support level right here at $6 a share. And this is the level that is also just so happens to be right where the moving averages are crossing below. So as they sold off and it was looking not good for the market, everything was selling off. Things not looking good into Thursday and Friday. Friday looked much better, but basically Wednesday, Thursday, things were selling off. And you didn't want to buy any dips. You didn't want to force anything, or if you did, you're probably shorting. Like we were shorting the quantum market, or just trying to basically hedge, which worked out quite well, against the position of seeing the sell down. But now you start to see them find maybe a bottom. See this level around $6. They revisit it. It's a previous resistance level here. They did bounce on Friday. And so now we're looking for direction. If they can hold above this moving average, we can see them start to cross back up into levels around $6.50 to $7 a share. You're looking at about a 5% potential to a 20% potential for profit in the near term. Now, the support at around $6 a share, that's a key level to watch. It's more like $6 to about $5.50. It's really where their support is. But in this range, if they break down below, let's say 550 and start to sell below, that's an overall break-in pattern, and that's not looking good on the technicals. But if they hold above this $5.50 to $6 range, your next targets are really up in the $7 to $8.50 range, which could be as high as a 40% return from here. So if they go and continue the overall uptrend and get back into those levels we saw back in the summer, then we're looking at, around a 50 to 70% margin for profit. Now, most trades, if we take any shorter term trades, we're going to have a criteria of having a margin for profit. If we're going for 10% margin for profit, we're probably having our stop loss at around negative 2%, 3%. We're managing closely. If we're going for, let's say 20%, we might have some more risk tolerance around 4 to 5% margin for error. And if we lose, that's okay, because these are the types of trades you're going for longer or bigger returns than what you're managing risk. Now, the second piece to that is still to have, caution in this market. Things can move fast. You don't want to overall, leverage. Don't over leverage yourself. But at the same time, looking at the margins for profit that it's offering right now, I see BigBear as a relatively good deal, and we're going to see if any opportunities present themselves. We don't trade short-term positions that we wouldn't already hold long-term, like in this case we do with BigBear. But when we see shorter-term trades present themselves, we oftentimes will trade them, and oftentimes we trade them at market open, usually around 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern, right when the market opens. And you could tune on in live if you'd like to in Stockmate. It's going to be the second link below. You get the access to the live session every day, Monday through Friday, about 15 minutes before market open. It's not here on YouTube. It's another link you get in your email. And you also get a free t-shirt when you join, along with how to invest in quantum, AI, space, and tech stocks, and how we analyze those companies. And you get a community of like-minded investors. So you're going to go ahead and see that there's about 29 individuals with a net worth of over or 7 figures or more. And then you have some beginners as well. And then if you need to send me messages, that'll be there. And we'll have some targets for the week like we normally do coming out later tonight, which have all of the targets for the different companies that are reporting earnings this upcoming week. So if you want to get your hands on those, and also one of the things we recently just added this year was the book that we wrote. And this we wrote before ChatGPT actually, but we just added it in. It is why you would read this book is the philosophy of the profitable investor. And I wrote it for myself, but you can grab it. It's comparing, ordinary versus profitable. No plan, emotional, FOMO, not really looking at the stock in its entirety, getting sucked into pump and dumps versus having a trading plan, being disciplined, patient, all that stuff. How do you actually learn? What's an example of a trading plan? All those types of things. You could see it there, along with the emotional IQ, which is a key factor. So again, you can grab it. It's a free bonus along with a free t-shirt in our daily live trading session in the second link below. Now, when it comes to the AI analysis, you're looking at, for the most part, pretty bullish outlook from AI. Over the next year, just according to Grok, which is the model we just selected in the machine here, it's actually looking like the next year is minimum about 20% margin for profit. You can see that over the next year. Now, if we run this through the quantum analysis, we recently added not just Grok and OpenAI and Claude and Gemini, we recently added what is IonQ and Rigetti for quantum analysis. So if you want to get a quantum enhanced analysis, all you got to do is just click into, let's say, Rigetti. It's going to run the quantum analysis, see if it comes through. Sometimes it could take a second. Let's see if it works. Might have to refresh. Let's see. Let's try it again here. Rigetti. There we go. Yeah, so Rigetti is saying that there's a 75% leaning towards, off the quantum analysis here, 64 shots when analyzing BigBear AI for this future projection of about 20%, that the most likely outcome out of, or the most confidence in all of the outcomes is actually at that 1 year mark, about a over 20% margin for profit. So it's saying that again into 2026, it's actually projecting that level of 1 year analysis is the most accurate. And so again, you could search any stock here. You can see the models. We also recently added some new widgets, and you can also see how companies are connected, which we're working on as well. So you can see BigBear AI right here in the defense market, how they're connected with Palantir, all that good stuff. If you want to get your hands on this beta before it's available to the public, there's only a few spots, but again, it's the first link below. And if you're thinking about doing daily live trading in Stockmate, what I just showed you here, you might as well get the machine because you get Stockmate as a bonus. So you can go grab the machine here in the first link in the description, get 1 year access, and that's locking in a sweet beta deal where you get unlimited access to these models and searching any stocks, but that you lock in that price for next year if you decide to keep it for the next year at the beta pricing. And you also unlock lifetime access to the daily live trading sessions. So again, that's the first link below to get everything. So appreciate you all. Hopefully you enjoyed. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. What do you guys think about BigBear and these projections over the next year of 20%? Comment down below. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.